Jump in this thing and see what it'll do.
Ready to rock this, bro?
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, last time you saw us trying to get this thing running, which we succeeded. But we failed on it being a good running driving engine in the car, and not because it was anything mechanically wrong with the engine, but someone had Dukes of Hazzard the thing, and the oil pan was crushed, and the pickup tube was hitting the crankshaft. So it was just going, let's see, ting 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 on the bottom of the pan, which eventually would run out of oil pressure because the crankshaft would wear through the pickup tube, and then the engine would be toast. So we flipped a coin, and the decision was engine comes out, which kind of gives us a good opportunity. We're going to go ahead and clean the engine bay, because look at all the funk. You know, there's a lot of dirt, and there's a lot of dirt here. So Derek is going to tear down the engine because we got some speed parts going in it. Yes, Howard's Cams is sending us a thumpy cam for our RV 440 that will go back in it, and I'm working on it, but maybe we'll get some more speed parts. But as of right now, we have headers, we have cam, we have intake, and we have carburetor. And according to Engine Masters, which has tested these RV 440s, you can get really close to 400 horsepower, like 398, 399, with just simple things like that. And depending on the cam size, maybe even more. But the cam we chose is kind of conservative for the low compression. I would love to rip the pistons out of this thing and slap in some, you know, say 68 440 HP pistons, but I don't have any. But that would be great to slap those in, because then that would bump the compression up a full 1.5, almost 2 probably. But clean this old girl up, get it mechanically perfect, get the suspension and the brakes dialed in, which there is 0 brakes right now. We have brakes for this thing. But one other cool thing I just noticed, and let me show you this. We have a 1976 tourist permit into Mexico. So this car has crossed the border at one point, and who knows, maybe this car was sold new in Mexico, came here, went back. Without the build sheet, we don't know. And it's still possible that there's a build sheet in this car. That's one thing, Derek, we need to check. The build sheet could be on top of the glove box, it could be under the front seats. There is potential for there to still be a build sheet in this car. But for right now, we're gonna clean all this funk and get to tearing down. Clean up the funk, dunk, dunk. Clean up the funk. Come on, Derek. Man, you get this color wet. This is a nice color. This special ordered 999 paint code. No wonder they picked it. This is pretty sharp. I dig it. Maybe we should return it to this color. Ooh, look at it glisten. This is a pretty color. Here, Derek. If you're a junkyard car guy, I know you've used this stuff before. This is the good stuff. But just hosing this engine down with water, it exposed that this was somebody's pride and joy car. The engine was painted blue. It has white motor mounts. It has a chrome timing cover. So, and it had white cylinder heads. The engine bay looks beautiful. This actually is a really good color. I actually really like this color. And somebody had painted the control arms white. So the control arms are, the upper controllers are white and the transmission is white. So someone has put their custom touches on it. And I don't know. I'm kind of thinking maybe we'll just paint the engine blue again. What do you think, Derek? You want a blue engine? So the oil pan's actually too crushed to try and drain the oil, and I want to save the oil because this is brand new oil. It has, what, 30 seconds of runtime on it, Derek? So we're going to try and drain it and just use this punch here. There we go. Royal purple. So the 74 has got your RV or your truck 76 engine in it, 440. And the problem with those is they're super low compression, like pathetically low, like 7.8. It might even be 7.5. I don't remember the, you remember the number?
They're probably rated at 8.2 or 7.5.
So it's either 8.2 or 7.5.
But actual is probably less than that.
But actual, yeah, is probably less than that. Anyway, they're super pathetic. And so it's hard to get a good camshaft for that. And over the years, your Mopar guys, which I'm standing in a big Mopar hoarder collector parts guy, and I hit him up and I was like, hey, do you have any takeout pre-72 440 Piston standard bore? He's like, yeah, just come over and pick out what you want. And so for $100, I now have 9.5 to 10 to 1 compression pistons and rods for $100. I'm going to take the bearings off of, I'm going to take the rings and the bearings off of my rods and pistons because, you know, again, it's a low mileage 440 motor, you know, probably RV or truck motor. I can take all that stuff, put them on these rods and pistons, match the balance weight of it, slap them in, and I just gained like 30 horsepower, and it'll make my cam poppier. So hit up your local Mopar guys or call them. And I'm going to leave this. So this guy is Doug Schneider. He's our local Las Vegas Mopar parts dealer. And so I'll leave his number and information in this video. But just a quick glimpse. Let's go see what he's got. He's got the garage just full. I mean, this guy's been collecting this stuff for what, 40 years? We got engines. We got all kinds of goodies. Just all the gaskets, and oil pans. And that's just in the garage. Let's go outside. Again, boxes and totes of just Mopar stuff, categorized, organized, everywhere. Bins, taillights, armrests, ashtrays, just all kinds of stuff. So if you need anything and it's Mopar related, go ahead and hit this guy up. Now let's get home and get these rods and pistons in my motor. Yep, just as I thought. A couple more whacks of that crankshaft and it would have been clean cut through. You can see right there. Couple more whacks and we would have lost all oil pressure because it would have just been sucking air. These are not factory push rods either. These are lightweight, stronger, thicker push rods. But then you look at the cam and you look at the valve springs, those are just single coil springs. So it's not like there's a damper or even an inner spring. Huh. There's not even a brand name on this. But it's good to know that we got some lightweight, heavy duty racing push rods. Sweet. Dang it. Yep, that little number 30 right there burned us. Because these are 30 over pistons when my little RV 440 right here is standard bore. Didn't even realize it until we cleaned the top of one piston. We should have measured them when we were at my buddy's place, but he told me that these came out of a standard bore motor, so we just assumed. We didn't even bother measuring. We measured compression heights, but we should have measured the freaking bore. Bonehead move. So now, yeah, we have some badass cylinder heads, but we have no pistons. Still on the hunt for pistons. I don't want to give up because I don't want to be stuck with the 7.8 to 1 compression pistons that these things came with stock. So I'm on the hunt. I'm not going to give up until the last minute when I have to just assemble it with the RV piston still in it. But did you see these cylinder heads I got? These suckers right here have probably like 10 to 15 years of garage dust all over them, because that's how long they had been sitting in his garage on the shelf. But these are in fact goodies. They're imitation 915 heads, which 915 heads in the Mopar world is like your high compression performance head from 1967. Then they did away with that in 1968, which I don't know why. Lowered the compression. So these cylinder heads are closed chamber. See how this is more of an oval here? So on the other cylinder head, what came off of the RV motor, this would be open over here. So it'd probably be like an 1/8 of an inch drop right there. These are like direct bolt-on performance heads. Got it on the cheap too. $200. But as of right now, on the engine, kind of stuck. We cleaned everything up. We've got some spiffy chrome valve covers we're going to put on it. The timing cover's been cleaned. All the hardware, look, check this out. All the hardware has been wire wheeled off of our RV 440. So, the only reason the crank pulley hasn't is because that crank pulley's bad. We're going to replace that. So, kind of at a standstill on the 440, which leads us to doing brakes. So I'm gonna go ahead and rip that master cylinder off because I have a brand new one to replace it with. You're probably thinking, why the heck is he heating it up? Why would you heat up the brake line and fitting? It's because I want to try and save it. The lines on this car are not bad. So if I heat that line and fitting up going into the master cylinder, it will break that rust bond that has been joined the two together over the last 50. Yeah, this car is 50 years old now. It's 2024. So yes, heating it up will break the rust. See, and we don't want to twist the line on the fitting either. Oh, this has got a boogered fitting on it. Wow, that was easy. That one might not have even needed heat. But I tell you what, I know the heat helped it. I've done this many, many, many times. I guess I should hit the brake pedal. I never even hit it yet. Maybe this booster's stuck. Moaning. Well, digging for 74 charger parts, which... Oh, there's one. Just fell. Good thing I don't need that no more because I bought another one. But in here, oh wait, is it here? I believe. Yes, okay. So I've got some extra calipers that were left over from the Aspen build. The only problem is, ooh, new brake pads. See, I'm trying to use up stuff that I've got lying around to do this car with, because, you know, as a car guy, you go and buy parts. Ooh, there we go. This will work. Aha. Hey, I need these. We got, okay, so we got brake hoses. We got slave cylinders or rear wheel cylinders. So, you know, as a car guy, it's getting kind of expensive on this hobby. So I'm like, you know what? I don't need to go out and be having the best of everything every time. It gets super expensive. Well, actually, I never have the best of everything every time. But what I'm getting at is, yeah, we could get Willwood brakes and all that stuff for this car. We could put QA1 suspension. But in all reality, you know, for the average Joe person, which I'm average Joe too, that stuff gets kind of pricey and it gets expensive. Even if you think you're building the best car, oh, this thing's going to be a showstopper, badass. There's always going to be that guy that just has a little bit more money that makes the car just one notch higher. So why not just build the car and enjoy it and just do what you can with what you've got? And that's kind of what I'm going to do. You know, I'm just going to do this car with what I've got and try and save some monies and just enjoy it. I don't need to have the baddest, the best, the fastest. Because there always will be somebody that is bigger, badder, faster. So why not just build something that you can have the most fun with what you got? Let's see if this will work. I think this is a sliding type caliper because the Aspen was a 77. This is a 74. So I believe, yeah, so at this time they had pin type calipers. I believe when I was doing when the Aspen came out, which is what this is extra from, is a sliding type, which it is. So the pin type holds the caliper to the bracket by pins, and it can slide in and out of the pins. This just sits on grooves on the caliper bracket, and it will slide on the grooves, and it has, you know, these clips and hardware that will hold it in place. So these will not work on my 74 Charger, but I know, yep, I was looking at these, oh, not too long ago, and I noticed that these brackets here are the sliding type. So I believe I can just take this bracket. I don't think these calipers are any good anymore, but the brackets, there's nothing wrong with those. I think I can take these brackets and swap them for the caliper brackets that are on my pin calipers, and then I can use those brand new Aspen calipers and hoses and everything. So then I am saving monies, but also getting stuff done at the same time. But we will have brakes, especially front brakes. Gotta have front brakes for burnouts. See if my sliding type bracket's gonna swap over. Uh-oh. Oh no, it does. Ha ha ha. Yes, the brakes didn't cost me anything. I was able to use junk in my backyard and make it work. See what the back of this here car has to say. And noticing it has painted white drums on it tells me that they've been in this thing before. Pretty much no brake dust. It's got red brake shoes, that means racing. Other than that, it looks pretty clean. So I think all I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna pull the axle out, check the grease on the bearings, stuff it back in, and let's see what the end play is like. All right, so it's got a little bit of excessive end play, but not bad. So when I get to the other side, I'll go ahead and adjust the end play on the axle bearings. Do the same thing with the cylinder over there, wheel cylinder. I'm gonna replace the brake hose. I think that's pretty much the end of the rear brakes. Nothing too exciting. All right, maybe I take it back on the brake dust thing. This 74 is officially going to have brakes today. All the parts to get the job done are finally here. All we got to do is bolt them on, pump the pedal a few times, bleed the excess fluid out. Excess air out, I should say. But a lot of fluid comes with that too.
Maybe we should dump this gas.
Yeah, dump that. Whenever I'm tightening a rotor, I spin it and tighten it, and I get it pretty tight just to make sure that the bearings are fully compressed, and then I back it off a little bit and then just kind of let the weight of my hand tighten the bearing. You don't really want it loose. Now we can put our brakes on. All right, straighten the wheel out. Actually, turn it to the right. Slowest steering wheel turner ever. Derek, you've got the record for the slowest jacker upper ever, the slowest steering wheel turner ever, and you have the record of the slowest reaction time ever in a drag race. I also got a new rear brake hose. So we're gonna go ahead and swap this guy out. Luckily, I had one in my stash. Same thing. I don't know what this was bought for. Maybe I ordered the wrong thing, or maybe I bought a car and it had a bunch of goodies in it. I just don't remember. This thing's probably been on the shelf for years. But at least I finally get to use it. And while I was under here, I was like, oh, crap. The leaf spring bushings on the front hanger are completely blown out. Like the bolt, or the you can actually see. So this is supposed to be centered with the bolt. Instead, the bolt is at the very bottom of the bushing because it has completely clapped out and the leaf spring shoved up. That is not going to make our 74 Charger ride in luxury. I don't want to have tight drums and lose horsepower. Come on. There we go. That's the ticket right there. All right, drums are on, brakes are done. Now we can bleed them. So we'll have stopping power, we just won't have horsey power yet. Bolt, what are you doing? Are you driving? Bolt, come on.
He's got his things.
Bolt, come on. There you go, get out. We gotta bleed the brakes, buddy. I see nasty fluid coming out. Up. Down. So I'm on the left side now and I'm just not getting anything out of the hard line. I am getting fluid out of the right side line, and I have blown through this left side line before. I don't know why it's now not doing anything. So I'm gonna unbolt this line from the T right here and see if I get anything. Hell, maybe this is a factory fluke, but they didn't even drill the damn hole in the fitting. Oh yeah, no, that's definitely got fluid. Why? Try cracking this line here. Up. Down. No, that's definitely got fluid going there. Oh, what the? Brand new rear brake line. And the T part of the line on the axle, it's not even drilled all the way through. That's why I couldn't get no freaking fluid out of it. Now it's drilled all the way through. I can see light in there now. There we go. We got some fluid now. Okay, up. All right, it should feel like you have pedal now.
I understand that.
All right, but we do have brake pedal now, right?
Yeah.
Okay. It's another day, and I got super lucky last night. So while at my Arizona property last night picking up the Roadkill Rally Duster because I sold it, and while I was there, there was a 1970 standard bore 440 block, short block, with good pistons in it. And I'm like, holy crap, because I had been searching, I had hit up friends, nobody had any. Pistons I bought that I thought were gonna work turned out to be 30 over. Been scouring marketplace, nothing, and all of a sudden I find a block at my place in Arizona. Bring her in. Keep coming, keep coming. A little more, okay, that's good. Perfect. See, it's got standard bore HP pistons in it, which is what I need to bump the compression on my RV motor. So now we can finally rip the pistons out of this thing, so that way we can weight match the new pistons to replace these, and now our 7.8 liters, 7 liter, now our, which is actually a 7.2 by the way. So now that I have 9.5 to 1 pistons to replace the 7.5 to 1 pistons, we are going to be mucho gooder with the Howard's cam that's going in, because it really needed it. We were just gonna kind of just suffer through it, but now we got compression, so it's gonna work most gooders. Time to knock these suckers out. Old slugs out, new slugs going in. The low compression 440 pistons are all out. No longer is this considered an RV 440, except it's a sneaker with the ID pad still saying it was an RV motor. I'm going to pull the crankshaft out. Basically going to go through this whole thing. Well, I want to dingle ball the cylinders, and when you dingle ball the cylinders, it does create fine metal particles that you're taking off of the cylinder wall. And so I'm pulling the crank out so that way when I'm done dingle balling, I can then pressure wash the inside of the engine. So then we have a fine, clean engine to start with, and assembling all the goodies back into it. (1976) bearing, original. But it's in great shape. This is not going to get changed. Our RV 440 had super low miles on it, which is typical with RV engines, or even dually trucks, which this could have possibly come out of one of those. I don't know, but RV sounds cooler. But there's not even a ridge on the cylinder walls, and so all 8 of our pistons that we pulled out of this motor, we're gonna rob the piston rings off of these and put them onto our donor motor. So this is a 1970 440 because it has an F there, so F is 1970. This has the pistons that we need, that is standard bore, that we can pluck out of this engine, and we can then plop into our RV motor. And all we have to do is weight match the pistons, and it will be balanced perfectly. So Derek is going to go ahead and proceed to knocking pistons out, while I am going to take our Proform Distributor and weld up half of the advance, so that way we have more low-end advance. I want like 20 to 22 degrees. Actually, I want 22 at idle. So that way when it revs out, it'll be like 32, 34. So, because these things have like almost 20 degrees of advance, I need to cut that in half. It'll make it run most betters. How's it coming, Derek?
Coming good.
Oh, you just seen a tail whip the camera. Yeah, that was Bolt. But we got 4 rods and pistons out of this 70, and I came over here to check out the progress. And this motor turned out to be way better than we thought. Like, this is a great donor because it had brand new standard bearings in it, which my crank is standard, and it has ARP rod bolts in it. So this engine has had some work done to it. But brand new bearings, brand new rod bolts, and that got me thinking, I'm like, I wonder if they put new rings on it. But these cylinder walls are not new. I mean, these things have ridges in them. And so I'm like, I wonder if somebody just put new rings, bearings, and ARP bolts into a block that still needed to be overboard. So then I got to looking at the rings, and I'm like, okay, see how there's a shiny line just in the center of the ring, and then we have a little bit of a shiny line just to the inside. So that tells me that these rings haven't even fully seated yet. Like when they fired this thing, it must not have run very long. So these are super, super low mileage rings, brand new bearings, and ARP rod bolts. See, because if we look at our motorhome motor, the entire ring is shiny. See the entire ring? Shiny. Shiny. So these donor pistons have new-ish rings on them, new bearings, and ARP rod bolts. Perfect. So we got 2012. Okay. What do we got on the HP piston? 23.3. That is not as bad as I was thinking yesterday. Okay, I better re-zero this thing and do this again, because yesterday it was like 48 grams. 20.33, same thing. Okay. It is a lot easier to cut 21 grams out than it is 48. (2012) 1970 piston, Junk RV 440, 2012. Perfect match. Now I gotta do it 7 more times. Actually, I was right earlier. So this is an untouched piston here, 2024. So I only need to cut 12 grams out of that. Here's another uncut piston. 2045. That's 21 grams difference between the two. There is a huge difference between them. But now, after I get done modifying them, look, we got 2012. 2012. And I'm also cutting a little bit of weight out of the rod because this has ARP rod bolts on it, which is, you know, the nut has a shoulder on it, so that added a little bit of weight to the rod end. So I just radiused that crown on top and then kind of got rid of a couple of sharp edges, which will help control oil slosh. Look at this pile of authentic 1970 HP 440 piston material. Just imagine, that's how much less mass is being flung around inside the engine. Here's the converter we just pulled out of this car. I was looking at Marketplace trying to find a cheap 727 stall converter because usually they pop up, and I found one. It was just an 18 to 2000 stall, but it was 150 bucks. So I pulled this one to make sure our spline count was the same, and this is already a stall converter. This is an 11-inch converter when the 2000 stall converter is a 12-inch. So we have a higher stall, which then explains why they put such a big transcooler in it. Just another added bonus with the 74 Charger. This here doohickey, this is how you check bearing clearance. It has different length extensions on it, so you can, all different kinds of engines are a possibility. We go ahead and stick it in there, and then you zero it out. So wherever you're trying to find the smallest number. So right there's the smallest number. There we go. And then this guy here, you mic this on the rod journal. So on the crankshaft, you stick this on the rod journal, and it has a little dial here. You turn it till it feels tight, and then you lock it in place. And then you compare this number to this number, and that is your bearing clearance. So it looks like it's 3.5 thousandths. And I'm glad that it's not super tight, but this is also 1/1000th bigger than I would really want to see. So it'll work. It'll just have slightly less oil pressure, but we're going to send it. Kind of makes me want to check the rest of them now. Make sure I don't have any tight ones. If this was a loose one, most likely the rest of them are going to be loose too. But this one can go in. Now I can go ahead and proceed to slapping these in, knowing that I'm not going to have any bearing issues. This RV440 has successfully been transformed into not a suckage RV440. It now has 9.5 to 1 70 pistons in it, and precisionally blueprint balanced. Right now, IB's working on cylinder heads. And let me talk about these cylinder heads for a second. These are what you call closed chambers. See how it's more of like a jelly bean here? It's a smaller combustion chamber versus the cylinder heads that came off of that RV440. They have a completely round combustion chamber because this is recessed probably like 150 thousandths, this much right here. So that much of meat we are losing because it is recessed into the cylinder head. Maybe we'll get a better shot of that. The lighting kind of sucks. Aha, trusty cell phone light. There you go. Now you can see the recess in there. These are what you call 5/16 heads. I just bought these for 200 bucks. I still got my messed up finger. For $200. And they've already been enlarged to the larger 906 exhaust valve, because normally 5/16 heads would have a smaller exhaust valve, but these have already been hogged out. Look at this. Oh, flip it over. The exhaust sides have already been enlarged. More exhaust flow equals more horsey powers. The intakes have also been ported, but they just kind of gently massaged it a little bit. And look, they already had new springs on them. This thing had so much garage dust on it because they've been sitting in a garage for probably 15 years. These look like they have been heavily cut. There is not a lot of flange right there. Maybe that's why they were really cheap. I've got another pair of 5/16 heads. We're gonna go measure it. We're gonna mic these ones, and then we're gonna mic the 5/16s that are in my engine room. Okay, we got 878. Okay, we had 878, and this is 978. Holy crap. I had mocked up the engine. Yes, it doesn't have any gaskets on it, but I just wanted to roughly check because how much was cut out of these cylinder heads, and I'm like, you know what, I gotta check. And luckily they did actually resurface the intake side, because the bolt holes line up. Both sides, bolt holes line up perfectly, which means I can then bolt these heads to the engine. But I'm going to pull the intake valves out and just do a little bit more bowl porting to the insides. But I'm actually glad that I get to use these heads now, because now this motor is like 11-to-1, if not more, having a 1/10 of an inch cut out of it, and they're already quench chamber heads. So this is actually going to be a pretty good thumper. Almost wish I would have just put the steel crank in it now that it's going to have 11-to-1, but now I wish I would have went bigger cam too. Dang it. Now that this engine is going to be more of a thumper, I think we're going to upgrade it to the Holley Street Dominator. That's why I chose this intake to check it. I just need to do a little bit of porting in here because that's kind of crude and lots of room for improvement. Lots of porting and laboring to go, but you know what? All of that is free. Oh yeah, horsepower increase. I can feel the CFM. Everything I'm doing to these cylinder heads is free horsepower. Didn't cost me anything. And additional to that free horsepower is the valves. It's probably hard to see, but I did this on the 71 RT and I think maybe the Aspen. There is a lip here that kind of, I'll just exaggerate, it goes down and then comes up and then down. That is a flow killer. So I have it set up in my drill. We're gonna run it automatically and then I'm just going to knock that burr off. It's another day and I had some Go Fast goodies show up. Howard's Cams goodies. Oh, I love these cams. Ever since I've switched over to Howard's, I have never had any issues with breaking in flat tablet cams. And that's why when you find something that works for you, you stick with it. So therefore, Howard's Cams is going into the 74 Charger. I've got my closed chamber head right here and I've got it mocked up with the retainers and keepers because I wanted to check my installed height. And how I'm doing that, it was just with a simple mic. This has 30 thousandths larger installed height than this does. And that got me thinking, I'm like, oh crap. It does look like the intake valves are kind of sunk in a little bit more than the exhaust valves. But then, you know, I take my Lowe's straight edge, stick it on there, and all the valves are at the same height. So that was good to know. So then I know that my rockers will not be preloading the push rods at different increments, because then you might have one that's topped out, you might have one that's bottomed out. You know, you kind of all want them in the middle or just off the bottom. So at least now I know all my valves are good. It's just when they machined the intake side, they cut 30 thousandths deeper. So what I'm gonna have to do is go in and check every single one. And then luckily, the cylinder head that came off of our RV440 already had shims under the springs, and they are the correct thickness that I need to fix this issue. Just coincidence. Now here's where I did screw up with the Howard's cam. We got too much of a sissy one. But when we ordered, or when I was talking to the Howard's cam rep, you know, Luke, the engine that we were going to use in the 74 was still the 7.5-to-1 compression, 452 cast iron headed, non-ported, just a Elbrock Performer intake and headers. That was the engine that was going to be in the 74 because I didn't plan on taking it out. So that is when we ordered the camshaft for that engine. Now, the engine has ported performance closed chamber heads, 3.5 points more compression than it used to have, so it's 11-to-1. It's got a stall converter. We knew it already had rear gears, but when we ordered the cam, we didn't know it had stall converter. I thought it was just a stock converter. So this cam is only 225 on the intake, 235 on the exhaust. It's a 108 lobe separation, which I like, but it's only 490 on the intake and 488 on the exhaust. This is going to be a freaking diesel. Would I like a bigger cam? Yeah. But this is going to be a tremendous torque monster street engine. And this gives us the opportunity to experiment with, you know, 1/6 rockers, or maybe I'll even just take some stock rockers, cut the ends off, weld them back on, and have some like 1/6.5s or something like that, and get like a 550 lift cam, and it'll probably add like 4 or 5 degrees of duration to that camshaft. So I've got my Proform distributor right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this guy apart, weld up half the centrifugal advance, because I want to see at least 20 degrees at idle, and that's with the vacuum line disconnected. It'll make this thing run perfectly smooth, and then when I get the engine running, that will determine how much I need to pre-adjust the spring on the vacuum advance, because every engine is different. Every engine has different manifold vacuum. This one's gonna have a lot because we got tons of compression, we have good cylinder heads, and we have a medium camshaft. So it's actually gonna be a pretty damn good street engine. And there you have it. Now we have half the mechanical advance. So then what we do, even though we have half the advance, that just means we have more down low. We didn't take anything away from the top. We're just gonna add more timing down low. So we'll start off with 20 and go to say 30, 32, or we'll start off with 22 and go to 32. Either way, we're gonna have way more timing down low, and the engine is going to love it. Seriously. For realsies. Check it out, check it out, check it out. Look at the new kicks for the 74 Charger. I scored these on a marketplace ad, and these weren't even an ad. No, I went way out of town, probably about, oh man, these are dirty. Went like an hour and a half out of town to go look at a 69 full 40 block with a 4-speed transmission for $300. Yes, 300 bucks. And I scored. It's a complete 69 HP 440 with the bell housing, the accessories, the pulleys, the power steering pump, cylinder head, everything. And while I was there, oh yeah, transmission. And while I was there, he had these cool slots sitting in a pile. So I scored everything for 500 bucks. That's why whenever you're doing your poop, you need to be scouring marketplace. Because this 74 Charger is turning out to be quite the poopster. Yeah. Scored the car on the pooper, scored those wheels on the pooper. I wonder what next kind of cool poopiness we're gonna get for this thing. All right, today I need to do some fabrications and some grindings. So this is the intake manifold that we are going to use now. This is a Holley Street Dominator, one of the best street strip intakes according to the Steve Dulcich. But it's kind of crude, sharp edges, you know, like that's just straight down sharp edge. And then this tapers in and then sharp edge around. So I'm gonna take some of my porting bits. Ooh, we're running out of shade. Take some of my porting bits, and we're gonna open up this intake and allow it to breathe a little better and allow the air and fuel to make smooth radius corners instead of going ert. So gonna do that. And then I have a top secret trick I'm gonna try and do for this small camshaft. So I'm gonna start getting on these things. Oh yeah, check it out. This is gonna be like a before and after. So this is the after side, this is the before side, obviously. That just looks like horsepowers and didn't cost me nothing but time, and you get to listen to your tunes while you're doing it. Now I got another half a side to go. I have a plan for more free horsepowers. I don't know if it's a good plan. Sounds good in my head, but we'll see. So the stock rockers on a Mopar are 1.5s, or well, technically they're 1.5s. I've heard they're kind of between 1.45, 1.55. You know, so we'll measure one and see what it is, but I want to cut the back of the rocker off. Just with, you know, just take my cutoff wheel with a grinder and cut the back off, and just the thickness of the blade, that the amount of metal it removed, I want to weld the back on. That is going to change the ratio of the rocker into my advantage, because I have a smaller cam. I wish I would have had a bigger cam. This will give me that, and it only takes like 5 minutes per side to change the rockers. So I could drive to the track on the factory 1.5 rockers, and then once I get there, 10 minutes later, all of a sudden I've got a bigger camshaft. So I don't know. That's kind of my idea. It's the following day. I have 15 done. I need one more, and it's right here. These are such a pain to weld because the metal is just so like impregnated with oil that trying to weld it, it's basically, even with the gas up, doesn't matter because there's so much oil that's inside the metal. It's basically as if I had just turned the gas off. And there's a procedure to do this, which is you heat up, you know, the rockers with a big torch and get them like, I don't know, get them glowing hot, and then let them cool, and then that supposedly burns the metal, burns the oils out of them. Yeah, I don't have a torch like that, so. We've just finished modifying my racing rocker arms, so now I can drive there on the 1.5s and in the pits swap out to my racing rockers, and in 10 minutes hopefully have bunches of more horsepowers. I'm hoping I can get this engine on a dyno. My buddy has a dyno, and I think we might be able to get this on that dyno and test it before it goes in the car, but that's not for sure yet, so I don't want to say it will. But cylinder heads, head gaskets, bolts, I have all that. Let's get it on. One thing I forgot to mention is I have upgraded head gaskets. So these are Cometic head gaskets. They're a multi-layer. They're 40 thousandths thick, 4.410 bore. And this is what I'm going to put on here. I have a gasket kit, but I didn't really want to use like your Felpro gaskets because this is no longer 7.5 to 1 compression RV. This is now knocking over 11 to 1. It's either at 11 to 1 or it's over it. There's math that can tell me that, but just by previous knowledge of these engines, I know it's 11 to 1 plus. So pretty sure everybody knows this. Go from the center out. I'm starting with 45 foot-pounds, and then I will proceed to the factory rated 70 foot-pounds. I really should be putting ARP head bolts on this thing, but I'm not, because that costs more money. gotta walk that grease all around. Now my performance Howard's cam can get stuffed in. You know, after I played Plinko with the cam bearings. And if you're not familiar with what a Plinko machine is, look it up. It's like a Japanese or Chinese, like it's kind of like a, crap, what is it, foosball? Or not foosball, pinball machine. It's kind of like a pinball machine, but you gamble with it. The only reason I know this is my grandpa had one when I was growing up. So we would play with it. High five, Derek. I thought I was gonna sucker him into that. Check it out. We got our ported cylinder heads on now. You'll notice I have just 2 rockers on here. What I'm doing is I'm checking my push rod length. I have an adjustable push rod in here. This aluminum push rod has, actually here's another one right here. So it has adjustable ends on it. You can lengthen, shorten, and you can even add pieces to it here. Like here's an example here. So you can make this like almost infinite adjustable on length. And these heads were cut a full 100,000ths off of the deck. So obviously, of course, it had nice upgraded, hardened, lightweight push rods in it before when we tore it down. Well, now they're not gonna work, because what I has done is I set this push rod to where it has 0 preload. It's just neutral. Of course, these are backed off right now, but when I had put it in there, there was 0 play. You adjust the length, lengthen it until it pretty much neutrals out, or gets 0 load. And then you want to add like, 25, 30 thousandths to the length of the push rod so it preloads the plunger in the lifter. If you notice, I got my welded rockers on here now. I wanted to make sure that they were still going to work if I just make one set of push rods. And this is a difference, but it's so minute. I mean, we're talking maybe a couple thousandths, 4 thousandths, 5 thousandths. I mean, just barely enough where I can wiggle it. That, not worried about it. The same push rod will work for both the 1.5s and my racing street strip rockers. This is the strip version, street version. So I have street strip rockers. Oh yeah. It's testing time. So I was able to test my 1.6 modified rockers. And by 1.6, I'm just saying by measuring the rocker, not by actually being on the engine, just by measuring what the rocker is. You know, but that's going by perfect center and all that, and guesstimating by the wear patterns. Anyways, I have tested. I've got a solid lifter in there. I've got an adjustable push rod, and that's not enough spring rate to actually bow the push rod. I double checked that it stayed nice and true throughout all the lift. And guess what I got? So this cam card on the exhaust side at the valve is 488 lift. With my modified rockers, I got, ready? 488. And I checked it several times. That is the correct number. And I'm like, what the hell? So I then stuck a stock factory unmodified rocker on here, did the same test. Guess what number I got? Not 488. I got 454. So I lost 34 thousandths from what the actual cam specs are with the factory rockers. So they are in fact not 1.5 ratio. They are actually closer to 1.4. And all I did by modifying those rockers, cutting the ends shorter, was bringing my cam back to its actual cam card. I was extremely disappointed. I thought I was gonna bump this sucker up to like 540 lift. Nope. I don't know if you can see this or not, but see how there is a little bit of play on these shaft rockers. And these ones actually aren't that bad. I've seen way worse. Now, as the rockers get more play in them, they lose lift and lose ratio. Now, if you had a brand new set, they might be a little tighter, but they're never like super accurate to where there's no play. So, even if you stuck 1.5 roller rockers on your Mopar engine, it's going to be a performance gain over the factory ones, because the factory rockers are in fact not 1.5. They are 1.4. If you go from factory rockers to 1.6s, yeah, then you got some actual 1.6 roller rockers, then you got some serious gain. It's kind of disappointing, huh, Derek?
Yeah.
I thought I was going to be making horsepowers. All I did was bring back what I should have had. Check it out, made in USA. And not USA, Japan, USA, America. Yep, United States. Where did I get this from? Howard's. Of course, we've got to put a matching Howard's timing chain with my Howard's camshaft. I'm going to go ahead and set this guy straight up, and I'm going to degree it, see where it's at. It is time to degree the camshaft in the RV 440 engine going in the 74 Charger. First, I need to zero the degree wheel, which is, I just stuck a bolt in the spark plug hole. I'll rotate it, and when it stops and hits the bolt, I'll just note that number, 18. Dang, we're so freaking close. It's like, there we go. It's like 18 and a quarter. Which really, that's plenty. 18 and a quarter, okay. That thing is perfectly zeroed. All right. Pull my bolt out. And now, that number right there, that is exactly top dead center. Now what we're going to want to do right here, since I have the cylinder head on it, and I don't want to put the rocker on it right now, all I want to do is see max lift. And so I've got a push rod on my lifter, and I got a dial indicator on the top. And what I'm going to do is rotate the crankshaft until this guy maxes out on total lift. There you go. Now I've already set this at 0 on max lift, so we'll just go ahead and prove it and watch. It keeps rising, and it stops right at 0. Now, when it comes to 0, or what it does is you set your max lift at 0, and then when it starts to fall back, go to 50 thousandths either direction, and then we come to our number here, and we will note that we have 148 degrees. Okay, now we just rotate it the other direction, go back up to max lift, and then watch the dial come back down to 50. Oop, a little too far. There we go, 50. And we've got 62. So 48 plus 62 is 210, and then what we do is we divide that by 2, and we have a 105. So that's advanced a little too much. This thing's going to make so much low end torque, I don't need to set it at 105. So I think we're going to retard this. I think it only goes 2 degrees at a time. So if we retard it 2 degrees, that'll put us at 107. We go another 2 degrees, that's 109. But then this thing's not going to RPM either because it's not a big cam. So I don't know, maybe 107 is the magic number. Now I like my patina cars. You know, the Survivor original paint. I mean, here's the best example I have is the car I call patina. But even though this car is patinaed, it still has a bitchin' engine bay. I painted the firewall, painted the motor. It's all chrome and blinged and bedazzled up to look like racing car. Now the 74, it's a little rougher on the exterior. You know, somebody had flared out the quarter panels, filled it full of mud and primer, and we've got mud and primer on the fender, and hell, this fender's not even original here. Obviously, it's all mangled up. So, even though this car is not as pretty, gotta put a pretty looking motor in it. I don't know. I got an engine to me have to be good looking. So, my RV 440 is all here ready, set up to get painted. I got a temporary timing cover on it, temporary valve covers on it, because that's going to be chrome. That's going to be chrome. We got a chrome water neck going to go on there. We're going to bling this out with some original 1969 Mopar B5 blue paint. Why? Because I have it. 2, because it's going to look good under the hood of that thing. Oh yeah. This thing's going to glisten. But first, primer. It's a little breezy today, so I might have to lay it on a little extra thick, or it might be a little thin. Oh well. Ooh, pretty. Now to make it shiny. Guess what? It's September 13th, not even 2 weeks away from duct tape drags, and still no motor. I actually did something I probably shouldn't have. Waste of monies, but I think the end result's gonna be cool looking. Is I had my headers blasted. Now they look cool because they have like a bluish tint on them, but that's just because they like heat treated them. I think they put them in an oven. I think that's what he said. But they're really just blasted. All I did was throw them in the oven, and they turned like that coolish blue color. Almost wish I could keep that color, but pow! These headers are gonna go white. So I've got some white, extreme header coating. I really want to do this because, I don't know, blue, the car is blue and white everywhere. It's blue, white top, white interior. The motor mounts were blue, or were white. Somebody painted the transmission white. Somebody painted the control arms white. And so I just think to top it off, we will have a blue engine with white headers. It's gonna be totally cool looking. And I just ordered some blue anodized valve cover wing nuts just to top it off. And I think we'll even put yellow Excel wires on it this time. So before I can paint this sucker, this is the worst header tube here with the road rash. It is pancaked. And I'm gonna go ahead and cut this guy out. And I found this in my stash where I can try and use some of this to fix that before I coat it. Okay, so hear me out. I have a thought process on this. I'm gonna spray these headers white, but white is not a good color for header paint. It like just burns off easy and flakes, and you know, you hear all the horror stories about white header paint. So my thought process is, you know what, to try and make the white header paint last longer, I'm gonna go ahead and spray a layer of this on, which is just, you know, a silver color, flat aluminum they call it, just to kind of act as like a thermal barrier for the white. Will it work? I don't know. Sounded good in my head. Haha, time for some white. My custom length push rods have finally showed up. I had to get custom lengths because my cylinder heads were decked a full 100,000. Oh yes, look at the headers on this engine. Isn't that just freaking killer looking? Oh yeah. White headers to me just scream vintage American race car. The Trans Am cars, the old the Shelby Cobras, the NASCARs, all the dirt track and asphalt short track cars that I've ever seen old pictures of had white headers on it. My grandpa's old dirt track car from the mid 60s, white headers. My uncle's dirt track car with the big wing on top, all that. Big, cool looking, gnarly, homemade, you know, what they called spaghetti headers. And so, yes. With that B5 paint, the white headers, velocity stack, and now push rods that you will not see because they are under the valve covers. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and dip these, lather these up with some Molly Lube on the tips and drop them into the other side so I can then finish the valve train on my RV440.
Here's another area where I didn't think well enough on the cylinder head. So the original heads on the hold this head
I liked it. It turned out so good. This engine looks bitchin'. I mean, even down to the Excel yellow plug wires just adds to the 70s, just poof. You know, that's like your typical teenager street race car. We got our Holly Street Dominator intake, which was available back then. The yellow plug wires were available back then. This carburetor, not so much, but you could have gotten a vacuum secondary 750. And, you know, the white headers just screams Americana. And I got all my we cleaned up all the accessories, painted them. We went and got rid of that massive like ambulance slash dually alternator, and we've got our smaller traditional 70 and up alternator with the brackets. Got a different crank pulley on it. Everything looks bitchin'. And I just tightened the oil pan down, and so now I can fill up the engine with our break-in oil, courtesy of Jegs. They sent me all the goodies I needed to top off the engine. I'm just waiting on 2 packages. One, yes, my finger is still messed up. One is the motor mounts. I got new urethane isolated motor mounts. Gonna top off the engine with our 30 weight high zinc break-in oil from Lucas. Oh, and look, see, look, this is our strip mode. Pull this off, and so we can drive to duct tape. We have our street mode air cleaner. Yeah. Ah. Doesn't that just look cool? The chrome just adds to that B5 blue. Let's see. Another thing I wanted to do to this engine, which Jeg sells these, it's a radiator upper hose filter. So why did I buy this? Well, because this engine wasn't taken to the machine shop. We just dingo balled it, cleaned it out, pressure washed it. We did everything we could at home. And when this engine was parked, they obviously never ran coolant. It probably just had straight water in it because there was a lot of rusty flakes. This will help save our new cold case radiator. I don't want to clog the cold case radiator with rust particles. So this is an inline filter that has a screen in it, and so this will help keep all of those particles from clogging our radiator. And this isn't permanent. This is just something I wanted to do to get all that crap out of the block. All that rust, get it out. Flakes, gonna look like rusty corn flakes in here probably. And we've got our header bolts. We've also gotten a couple other things like, you know, the chrome dipstick. I still have to modify that to make it work with the headers. And the final touch on this here engine is I've ordered the blue anodized valve cover wing nuts. That is going just that's like the you know, the final topping on the cake to make this thing just poof bitchin'. And this guy here has a date with a dyno. I'm actually going to dyno one of my engines for the first time. And I'm really curious what this thing is going to do. Remember, this is just an RV 440 that we have taken multiple years of previous factory parts to anti-440 it up. So we've got the closed chamber 5/16 heads that I had done ported out, and it does have the big valves in it. And they had also been cut 100 thousandths. So what do you think of this motor, Derek?
It's pretty shiny.
Yeah.
It looks, you made this thing, you woke this thing up.
Yeah, blinged it out, huh?
Yeah.
But not only did we bling it out, we horsepowered it out too.
Yes,
you know this thing's gonna be probably making like 475 on the dyno. When we ordered this cam, the RV 440 was still an RV 440, and it was still in the engine with stock heads and what we thought was a stock torque converter. Turned out it was like a 24-2500 stall converter, and now this thing is 11-to-1 compression with ported heads, and so the limiting factor is the camshaft. So we're going to easily pick up 100 horsepowers and a shit tons of torques with this motor here. I'm really curious to see what it dynos at. Blub, 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 blub. Too bad the oil doesn't actually make that blub blub sound. You have to like amplify it. Oh wait. Shh. Yeah, so neither one of us have ever dynoed an engine, and this is his dyno. But we're gonna figure this out.
You know,
Well, this is your newly inherited dyno.
yeah, you know there's
Yeah.
engine masters. This is
Yeah.
engine apprentices.
This engine of the engine dyno apprentices here. Mechanically, we should be able to get this thing all set up, but then the wizardry on the calibration and actually running the dyno, we have to bring in somebody for that.
Who's luckily pretty experienced. So
Yeah,
okay, we'll
Gil
go.
Navarez, he knows his shit. But I'm really excited. I've never dynoed an engine before, so it's just kind of ironic that the engine that I'm getting the dyno first is for a beater. But I'm really looking forward to this thing. I'm really curious to see what this is going to make, because this is, you know, what can you do with an RV 440 on a budget? This has 1970 pistons in it, so we chucked the factory RV 440 pistons that were in the hole 150. Now these are only in the hole, I believe it was 90 or 80. And so it bumped the compression up that way, and we've got closed chamber ported heads on it that were cut 100 thousandths. So this is like an 11-to-1 motor, and these 5/16 heads, or 5/16 heads casting number, you can pick these things up cheap. I got these heads for 200 bucks, ported them. We put, it already had the bigger exhaust valve on it, and I ported the Holley Street Dominator intake that I got off Marketplace years ago for like 150 bucks. And we've got a very mild Howard's cam. There you go, Howard's cam. When we got this cam, it was when this was still an RV motor, so we didn't want to go too big on the cam because it was an RV motor. But now that it's all this ported headed, big compression intake and all that, it's like, We should have put a bigger cam on it, but I think it'll make for a really good street motor. It's gonna be a torquey sucker. So it's gonna be like big torque, mediums horsepowers, and with small cam. Derek's getting used to this camera thing. So go ahead and say hi, Derek.
Fine.
And we got Brick. He's the guy behind the screen. This is Dan's drive line. This is where I'm at. So this is really cool. I'm excited. I've never dynoed anything before. So we're gonna finish getting this thing all set up. So I just got the headers on. Brick's doing all the.
Trying to figure out the starter right now.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out how to make the starter make noises.
I can do it with a screwdriver. I just need to do it with a button.
Yeah. Well, we'll just have Derek standing in here to run the screwdriver while we're behind the safety of the plexiglass.
Now you're thinking.
Yeah. We might even give you headphones, Derek,
A face shield.
and a face shield from Harbor Freight.
Not a great face shield.
All right. Well, hopefully when you see us, we'll get this all figured out. Right now, we're just trying to figure things out, and I'm super excited. I kind of love this motor. It looks really good with my blue paint, don't you think?
I gotta be missing something because I got no power to the console header.
Okay, check in with us later.
Yep.
It's all like professional looking in here. Can't wait to be sitting in here and going, wah, wah, wah.
When it goes bad as well as when it goes good.
So maybe the super discount on the cylinder heads wasn't as good as we were hoping. We got water in a cylinder. Now I'm trying to rotate it over. Multiple cylinders? Is that fuel actually? Doesn't look like fuel. That's fuel.
We had the fuel pump off.
I know, but maybe it's. I did notice the base here was wet.
Just like that whole time we were waiting, the fuel pump was turned off.
But you keep rotating. If there's multiple, if multiple cylinders are full of fuel, then that means the carburetor's leaking inside.
So it's not what was on the spark plug that you pulled out.
No.
Which one was it? This guy?
Yeah.
Doesn't smell like fuel.
Yeah, but that was fuel that came out of that one. Look out.
And now we're getting fuel out of that side. Because that just spilled out, not over here.
Oh.
So maybe.
Yeah, so it's okay. All right. So maybe we might be okay. It might just be the carb, but see, it's not, the fuel's not boiling over. Or the fuel's not coming out of the tubes, not coming out of the boosters. The carburetor just flooded and filled the engine up with fuel.
That would be way better than what you first thought.
Yeah. But I don't see it leaking anywhere. May have to put the 850 on here. Alright, day 2 at the dyno. We've got another carburetor on. We got an 850 on it this time. The 750 found out that the ported vacuum was leaking fuel directly into the base plate. So, got this on here. We got to finish like 5 to 10 minutes of break-in. And hopefully it doesn't leak oil this time. So. That was testing. shitty day. The amazing deal I got on my cylinder heads turned out to not be so amazing after all. We had to turn the water off going to the engine because we noticed out of this bank we kept getting water coming out of the corrugated pipe, and so flex pipe, whatever you want to call it. So I decided to pull the plugs, and number 6 cylinder was a swimming pool. Water was just running out of it, so we're done. No dyno. That sucks. Stupid motors. So I'm trying to turn disaster into a good thing. I had an idea in my head and I ran it by Dulcich, and Dulcich said, do it, send it. So if Derek brings the camera on down here, you can see that massive hole in there. I don't know, can you see that hole from that camera? Oh yeah. That's the hole that's in the side of that exhaust port. That's what killed our dyno rod. So my thought, my genius plan is we're just gonna drill the hole out bigger, run a pipe plug in there, and just send it. Because what's the worst that can happen? We gotta throw the heads away anyway. So Dulcich was like, hey, that's a great idea. Plug it, send it, run it. So that's what we're gonna do after we're done cleaning up the Titanic of a mess we had down here. Good job, Rick.
You're welcome.
High five. We're idiots.
So right here is what I want to do. And just kind of envision how wide that socket's going to have to be to get the
I
jack.
did, that's why I left a little bit of room on the side.
Did that already go through?
Yeah. A little bit of meat there, more than we had.
That's already through?
Not a lot, but
No, that's not a lot. Okay, let me get it. Oh, epic fail.
dang it. At least now it's lubed up.
Yeah. Do I have to go on record saying I don't abide by this? I'm here for you, but
This was all Rick's plan, by the way. So we're also going to weld it, and we got some JV to assist us with that. It's like silicone, you just spread it with your finger, right?
it's just harder to get off later.
Yeah.
You got money?
Yep, that's probably it. In the hole we go. Where's my flashlight guy?
Oh, here.
Flashlight.
Flashlight. I put that thing to like,
It's binding.
or the block, like the widest edge is about to go below the surface. There.
Well, it won't go any more than that.
That's it. I mean, that's as tight as that went. Maybe I'll sign on to this repair.
Now, if I smooth out the epoxy,
Flow.
that's going to increase the flow.
That's how you do it right.
Disaster is okay when you can laugh about it. All right, there.
Saved from the last year with drought. Maybe saved this year with the
Pipe plugs.
pipe plugs on an angle with JV well.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say we've stepped up your program much.
I thought we were winning here, but then Rick had to go and look and see rust in this port too. So upon further examination and with all, we found 2 holes. So now we got to fix 2 more holes. And we're just going to pipe plug them again. It don't give a shit.
Stress relief from the other one.
No.
What's happening?
Brass.
You're into the brass or
No,
feeling
the
it
brass
up?
cracked next to it. I don't know if I said this yet, but someone has already tried brazing this. brass that crack right here?
That's it.
So, maybe.
I don't know, man. It's a bummer because like it's not like you can just get another cylinder head and then deck it the amount that this is. Like you got to pull a rabbit out of your hat somehow.
Well, let's. Isn't this your cleatus string?
No, that's regular.
Oh.
This is fat cleatus strings. Which you
So instead of a hell yeah, brother, this is a yeah, brother.
hey, brother.
Plug number 1. So I had a lot of faith in the pipe plug trick working on that one port. But then we came over to this port, and I don't really have a whole lot of faith in that because there was brazing that was in there, and it started cracking. I attempted to drill, attempted to tap, but then the drill bit kind of walked when it hit thinner metal and turned my tap hole into an O-bell. So, and then we found a crack that went farther up. So, Brick said he's got this down, he can get it perfect. So, he's gonna have at it. And if it doesn't work, it's your fault.
No, I'm blaming Derek's.
No, it's Derek's fault. Derek's the encouragement on this.
I'm gonna give this a 1 or 2% chance of working. So
That's 1 or 2% more. Actually, you know what? What you probably could do is you probably could fill the side of that with so much rod
yeah.
that it would just, you know, water couldn't get out.
When I say working, I mean barely getting you to the race, not like actually working.
Yeah.
Not actually.
So we're not going to try and drive this thing to the duct tape drags anymore. We're going to have to trailer this. My trust has left the building on the motor. So this is going to be kind of like it was last year with the 71s. They're going to finish all the rounds. And if it doesn't, we know who did it. Derek.
Derek did.
Ooh. Fire. Trying to get that cast iron red hot enough to take rod.
With everything?
Everything, yeah. So Brick did his amazing brazing job.
Don't give me no credit. I don't want it.
We're gonna see what it. We're gonna turn the water on, see if we get any. See if we can't pressurize the system.
I feel like it's gotta have some.
Oh yeah, that water tank up there got pressure.
Yeah. We got water to.
Is it on?
Yeah.
Oh. I guess I should be looking.
If you pull out one of those, I wonder if we'll get like one of the. Let's see if we get water here.
Oh, nothing yet. Is it filling?
I'm gonna go turn the pump on. I don't know what'll happen. I don't.
Oh.
Remember, I don't know a ton about this.
I thought you were the expert.
No.
Yeah, that it's a fail on both sides. The brazing.
We pulled the plug out of the front there.
Yeah. But it's a fail on both sides. The
Holy
there
smokes.
and there. Ugh.
You know it's not a fail?
What?
Mopping this floor again, we're gonna do that.
Oh,
I mean, even if that works, we're still 1 port to the no good.
It was so much water, it was hard to see. It was like there, and then it was
That
like
thing.
there, and then it was like there.
I'm going to do
I don't think there's any fixing that rear port. Yeah, yesterday kind of sucked. Even got rust on my exhaust gaskets. So imagine us trying to do dyno pulls and getting some real heat in those exhaust ports and just creating sprinklers out both exhausts. So we're just gonna go ahead and do the next best thing and yank these heads off. I don't know, maybe we'll make more power. We won't have as much compression, but maybe we'll make more power. I don't know. We won't know because we never got to dyno this engine with these heads, but at least we'll have a number to finally put on. The worst part is we're gonna have a pretty blue engine with orange cylinder heads. Is spent $130 on these push rods that now I can't use because the heads that we're going to put on here are not decked 100,000s. I had to get different push rods because these were decked 100,000s, but luckily I have the push rods that came out of this motor when we first pulled it out of the charger and they were already hardened. So maybe it was foresight. I don't know, but at least we have something we can use when we put it back together. Should have this thing torn apart in lickety-split. The junk cylinder head's about to come off. I want to see how steam port clean these two cylinder walls are.
Yeah.
I don't see nothing bad in here, so we can proceed to the other cylinder head. Just try and get this water out of here. Man, the orange cylinder heads are just gonna kill the look of this engine. But you know what? These are ported 915 heads. Now they're not ported as much as the 516s were, which is a good thing because that's why they freaking leaked. I only ported the intake side of those other heads. The exhaust side, somebody had hogged the crap out of them. That's why they got pinholes in them. But the 915 heads, which is also closed chamber, has a better short side, which is the bottom side of the intake runner. So it actually comes up and then radiuses into the valve versus the 516 heads just as flat and then down into the valve. So you get that airflow that just shoots to the back of the valve. These heads will actually help pull air into the short side of the valve as well. So we lost a full point of compression, but we gained airflow. So is it going to even out? I don't know. I wish we would have got a dyno pull, but we have, I don't know. We'll find out. See, every sixth is torque to spec. No, I'm gonna go back and torque them. I'm just barely zapping them down trying to save some time. When in doubt, center out. Time for the intake plop. This thing just got so hideous looking. But hopefully it makes horsepower. That is all I care about right now. Actually, you know what? All I really care about is that it doesn't leak water. That is my main thing I don't care about. Do not leak water. All right, so it's all together. We're gonna get ready to fire it up for the first time. I just don't want to see any water come out. picture instructions.
It's all text, man.
Oh, shit. But the normal car guys, we just open the book and go straight to the pictures. We don't actually read.
I understand, but I don't want to hurt your engine or our equipment, so.
Proceed to reading then. Maybe I can learn how to do this and become a dyno operator too. You can call me on weekends, I can show up.
Let me call our tuner guy and see if he thinks he's going to be available.
Since me and Brick have no idea what we're doing calibration wise, we had to bring in an expert. We got Gil Navarez, which is helping us calibrate the machine, getting all the barometric stuff, you know, moisture sensor, fuel, you know, density, all the crap that makes the dyno calibrate. So they're in there right now getting all the numbers correct. So we actually will have an accurate dyno number. Is it different from in here than it is in the room?
Well, we
Not enough to
always
make a
measure
difference.
the air out in the workspace because the air that gets drawn in for the motor
Always out in
gets
the
pulled
workspace.
from out there.
Okay.
Let's see what I come up with.
Did I show you the,
0.25 is what I came up with for vapor pressure.
so,
So we're all set?
I need to go prime it?
Kind of hold it right here.
Hold on. Yeah.
Right there. 14.
Not much load on it right now.
That's good.
Yeah, it was about 13.3 when you went wide open.
Power, baby. Lean is mean.
It's cast pistons.
I need to turn it off for now, right? Or never mind.
I'll just keep it going. So if I turn it off, something might happen. I might throw a rod, you know.
Yeah, it's true.
It looks like our rings are getting sealed up.
Oh yeah, I see that. Yeah.
Yeah. That's everything in the load. When you load them down, it makes some fucking rings. We're okay. We're okay. All oil just caught on fire.
Yeah, that water pump's probably spinning like 11,000 RPM.
Oh, I bet. I bet.
More jet?
Yeah. We were smoking really good over here. Yeah, we need
The good news is we can
Yeah.
reduce this side a bunch.
a couple sizes.
Right side's looking good now.
Shut her off. So we need to go up about 2 jet sizes on the primary. So we're gonna go ahead and do that real quick, and then hopefully we can get a full pull in. We're kind of fighting a fire right now. You know, Brick didn't put in the rear main seal good enough, and so it's leaking.
I told Derek to put the rear main seal.
Okay. Derek didn't put the rear main seal in good. Oh man.
What weight of oil are we running in the catch tray?
Well, that's probably 20.
Pretty exciting.
Looks like it was making decent power,
Yeah.
or we didn't even. It was at what, 380, 389?
Torque.
What was the
Because
torque?
that was what was displayed on the bottom
Yeah.
number is the torque.
Yep.
Oh, the torque was the bottom number.
Okay.
Blood pressure's still good.
Yeah. No, everything looks
For a 50-year-old freaking oil pump. I never even changed the gaskets on the oil pump.
Yeah, I accelerated quick because I didn't want to pull a big load on it without us knowing really what.
You were actually good. It was about when you lifted, it was 13.1.
Okay.
Hey, nothing happened when I hit F3. Did you hit your thing over here or it already did that?
I'm just going to put a couple degrees of timing in it. I'm just going to eyeball it.
F3 this time. Nice. There you go. I wonder why it doesn't
Import the,
correct what we're at.
yeah.
But put.
So it picked up about 11 horsepower on that pole just by adding about 2 degrees of timing. So we're going to go ahead and see what the timing is actually and see if we can't add some more to it. Now we're going to see how much power we can pick up with our racing rocker arms.
That's a good test, man. That's an awesome test with the rock, you know.
Yeah. So what do you think? The cam too small?
A little too small for the displacement, you know.
Yeah, it was nosing over at what, like
4,900.
yeah,
something like
just
that.
the cam. We're not getting. So this is a good note for you Mopar guys. So when you're putting in a camshaft and you think you're getting the specs that the cam card is telling you, and you've got factory rockers, you ain't. So we're about to put some modified rockers on that is going to bring it back up to what the cam card should be.
Lift-wise.
Lift-wise, yeah. It might actually add a little bit.
Low duration, sure.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
I wish I could take credit for this TIG rock deal, but I actually got the idea from Dulcich. Old guys have all the wisdom, huh, Gil?
Well, we've done it 1 or 2 times
You're
before.
signing on to be the old guy?
Well, I mean, me and Dulcich are the same age.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Oh. You guys have both been around the block.
Yeah. Too many times, really.
There it goes.
I love it. Cool. Because usually you're having to jostle
Fight
the
it, yeah,
rockers and the
jostle.
push rods, and
Now you can just lock them down and
pretty cool.
watch us gain like 300 RPM on the power band.
Oh, we're going from 400 and
411. It made 411 horsepower that last pole.
lift wise on camshaft.
Oh, we're going from 454 to 488.
Gotcha.
So we're doing like the equivalent of going on a small block Chevy, going from 1.5s to 1.6s.
Yep.
Yeah. Yes, I'm a small block Chevy guy too. That's in the circle track world, you are actually punished if you don't run small block Chevy.
True.
Yep. If I ran a Mopar, I have to take my rear spoiler off, and I have to add.
No way.
And you have to run iron heads.
Really?
Iron heads, and you have to remove your rear spoiler. If you run anything other than the GM engine.
You have to remove the rear spoiler.
Yeah.
Who came up with that?
GM. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and rinse and repeat the same thing on the other side and see see what this old girl can make. So far, the engine's in good shape. I'm actually happy with it, except for the rear main.
Don't look at that.
Yeah, don't look at that rear main seal. I got my rockers swapped. Now we're gonna go pull this thing and see what it does. Come on, horsepower. And rockers don't work.
That didn't get to 5,500. Clear that.
Is that because it made less power?
Usually.
See how that's
No, something is going on here.
I can actually hear it.
Way better.
Oh yeah.
I'll be damned if it doesn't sound noticeably better.
It does.
No, and I'm not saying just from 4 cylinders ago, but like from 8, like the previous rocker.
All right, F3.
Come on, horsepowers.
Right.
Actually, right now, the cam spec, or right, with these rockers that we have right now, that's actually what the cam card is supposed to be.
Gotcha. So you can see here.
Oh, we did pick up quite a bit on the top.
Oh yeah, yeah, we did actually.
So it'll carry farther.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it moved the cursor, and then if you watch it here, you can see the difference if you go up between the two.
Oh, so
Yeah,
like
so those rockers carry the power band like another what?
so that's 414 on the is the torque, and then if I go right up above it, it's 435. So
Versus the run before that.
yeah, so it's 20 different there.
Oh, there you go.
So that's quite.
Yeah.
So overall, it's not a lot, but in the curve, it's a lot.
Overall, the average, it was a lot.
Or the average was a lot, but
Yeah.
the max was not.
Right. Which you don't care about
well,
max.
I think the cam just petered out.
Is there any reason to do it?
But look at the crossover; it's actually gained even more. Look on the crossover. Yeah,
on the other end.
yeah,
Yeah, no, that's pretty good.
that was pretty cool.
Set
Let's
this on
do,
fire if we do that.
No, let's slow it down.
My rockers worked, and they didn't blow up.
Right?
Okay, and I
It lived.
Yes,
It lived.
I'm genius.
number 2. You're up to
460, 472.
on the torques.
422 horse.
Here's your everything. Oh, you got it.
Yeah, go leave that off for me. And let's do that last one with the stock rocker overlay, just so
There you
it's
go.
more impressive looking.
Okay, so then we want to view or overlay this, and then that was going to be probably like one of the first tests, probably
Yes.
this guy.
There you go. Huh?
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking
Hold on,
about.
let me get a picture of that.
Heck yeah, baby.
Back at home with my 440 that we just got done dynoing, and it leaked oil like a sieve out of the rear seal. Got the oil pan off, got the seal cap off. I went ahead and I was in a hurry putting this thing together, and you know how you just assume, like in the old days, you put a seal in it, bolt it down, and you assume it's going to be good, but no, not nowadays. So new seal. I put some grease on top of the well, I guess the race where the seal hits, and bolted the cap back down. The seal never even touched the crankshaft. It didn't. There's no signs of that seal even hitting it. So we're gonna go ahead and cut some meat off of the cap and go ahead and bolt it down until we start seeing the frickin' seal touch the crankshaft. Here you go, Dick. Want to hold that? gonna go ahead and measure a before and after, how much I cut off of it, try and make it even. So I got 2.985. Double check that. 2.990. We'll try that, cut about 20 thousandths off of it. Might have been a little too much, but you know what? If it wasn't even touching it, I don't think 20 thousandths was too much. I had to cut 40 thousandths off the deck of this rear seal cap in order to finally get the seal to touch the crankshaft. See that silver line in the grease that I put on top of the crank? I had to cut 5 off, cut 5 off, cut 5 off, cut 5. Finally, the seal touched the crankshaft. Now this thing will actually hold oil. Now I gotta bolt it together before we can get it in the car. Alrighty guys, it has been a lot of work to go from when we plucked this thing out to now plopping it back in. Full engine rebuild. Of course, white headers. That means horsepower. Oh, I even cleaned my face up a little bit. It feels cooler outside now. We've got all new brakes on this thing. We've even decked out the front seats with our custom cheapo on sale seat upholstery, cleaned out the floors, fixed the K-frame. So much has been done to this car in that amount of time from when you saw it out to now getting ready to go back in. But you will have to wait until the next episode to see this thing hit the key, make noise, and shred tire, because this has been a pretty long episode. A lot happened this time. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish getting this guy plopped in, but I really hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and be sure to go ahead and check out junkerupgarage.com. I've got some merch on there. I'm gonna even throw up a couple more goodies from this car on the site. So thanks again for watching, and my members, hey, I really appreciate you guys, and I'm gonna start doing more things for you people. I'm just so backed up right now. I even trying to get this thing done was, I mean, this car's got to be on the road in like 4 days. And I still got a lot to do. We got exhaust to build, wiring, we got to put the windshield in it. I mean, I'm buried. So much to do. But you know what? I have fun doing it, and I'm glad you guys enjoy watching it. See you guys.